Good morning to one and all. This is Dr. Pranay Dute, and today in today's lecture, what we are going to see the classification of igneous rock. So, in previous lecture, we see about how the igneous rock is formed, what is the difference between magma and lava. Now, the objective of this lecture is to how we can going to classify the igneous rock, as we are already seen that there is a different type of rock like igneous intrusive rock, extrusive rock. So on the basis of property, how we are going to classify this all rocks. So now this is what you can learn in this lecture. Seen in this some lectures, what is the intrusive igneous rock? What is the intrusive igneous rock? Intrusive igneous rock are those rock which is formed under the surface. Intrusive igneous rock are those rock which form under the surface, which is crystallized from slowly cooling magma intruded within the earth crust, that is granite and gabbro. So granite is and gabbro it's the example of intrusive igneous rock. This is an example of intrusive igneous rock. What is the extrusive rock? Extrusive rock are those rock which is crystallized from the rapidly cooling magma extruded on the surface of the earth as a lava. So intrusive and extrusive, the two different kind of rocks are there. Intrusive and extrusive, two different kind of rocks are there. Intrusive are those rocks which is formed under the surface, and extrusive are those rocks which is formed on the surface. This is a simple thing. Don't be confused between the intrusive and extrusive rock. So obviously, what happened when the intrusive and extrusive rock? Intrusive rock could not able to cool down very rapidly because the surrounding temperature is also high as due to the geothermal gradient. What is mean by geothermal gradient? Geothermal gradient is nothing but the when you go deep inside the earth, when you go inside the earth, you have overlying pressure which create a excess temperature. Okay, so when you go to the center of the earth, your temperature is tremendous. Why? Because of the overlying pressure, overlying strata. So obviously, when you have a temperature more than the your surface temperature in the interior of Earth, whatever the material which is coming from the Earth, that will not cool down very rapidly. They will cool down very slowly. They will cool down very slowly. That's why it is called as an intrusive rock, and intrusive rock are form a good shape of crystal. Intrusive rock is form a good shape of crystal. The crystal is looks pretty good in a pretty good shape. The size of the this crystal is also high or long, and the particle as well as shape is there. So this is how the intrusive and intrusive rock is formed. Whereas the extrusive rock form, how the extrusive rock is formed? Extrusive rock are formed when it crystallize and when it's crystallized in a on a surface. On a surface, it is crystallized, and due to the quenching process. What is mean by quenching process? Sudden means you just think that, or you just imagine that there is a lava. There is a lava flow which is what we can say suddenly comes in the contact with water sometime. So what happened? They are quenched now. Quenching. This is the process known as quenching. So they are quenched right now. Quenching process is there, and uh, they form like, and they look like a glassy texture. They exhibit a glassy texture. So this is how you have an intrusive as well as extrusive rock. This is the general genetic classification of igneous rock. This is general the genetic classification of igneous rock. So extrusive rock or erupted as a pyroclastic material, that is a fragmented piece of magma ejected and cooled in the air. So this is some of the rocks These are some of the rock which is which we can say the in the surface or in the this one in the atmosphere it can goes. Then you have a formation of igneous rock. Then you have a formation of igneous rock. How the igneous rock is formed. Now we see that there is a process under the surface. There is a process under the surface which can be very useful or which can be known as the process for the formation of igneous rock. How it can be what kind of igneous rock you are looking for, that is depend upon the what process they are follow. So when you have extrusive pyroclastic rock, what is pyroclastic rock? You have a volcanic ash in a pyroclast, means ash will be there in the what we can say the in the your atmosphere. And that ash makes the some rock. So what the name of that rock? The name of the rock is pumice. The name of the rock is pumice. So this is how you have a different kind of igneous rock. So rock which is formed from the ash, that is known as pumice. So the what we can say the density of the pumice is very less. As you know, the ash is a very lighter material. So pumice can be float on the water. Sometimes we are seeing that some of the stone are or rocks are floating on the flowing on a water. So that is nothing but a pumice rock. That is nothing but a pumice rock, which is having a very less density, a very lighter density. That's why it can be flow over the water. Then you have a mafic basalt and felsic rhyolite. What is a mafic and what is a felsic? A mafic rock are those rock. A mafic rock are those rock which having a more Mg plus Fe and plus means ferromagnesium material is more in that. So for ferromagnesium material is more in that. That is known as your mafic material. That is known as your mafic material. Whereas what is the felsic? Felsic material are those material which having a more SiO2, more SiO2 in it. So that is known as a felsic rock. That is known as felsic rock. So mafic and felsic, these two different kind of rocks are there. Mafic and felsic, two different kind of rocks are there. So mafic rock are those rocks which having a more ferromagnesium material. Felsic rock are those rocks which having a more rhyolite or more SiO2 in it. And you can see the different rocks type. Now you can see the granite, how we can classify on the basis of composition. So primary classification of igneous rock consists of the composition. Which composition? As the igneous rock is made up of different mineral. So mineralogical composition is the main key component to classify any igneous rock. Remember that the classification of igneous rock is depend upon the what kind of mineral is present in the your rock, whereas the sedimentary rock is mostly classified on the basis of their size, on the basis of their grain size, whether it is below 4 micron, between the 4 or more than 4 micron, and this all. So this is how you can have a what we can say the 4 micron or whatever the size you can have. So that is how you sedimentary rock can classify. But in case of igneous rock, it is not happen. In case of igneous rock, what you have to do or what is the classification criteria? Your mineralogical composition. So whatever the minerals there are present, so some of the minerals are very abundant in nature and that's why they are formed everywhere like quartz, feldspar and this one plagioclase. So this is how you can classify the igneous rock. Now this rock is a granite. What type of mineral is dominated in a granite? You can able to see now the orthoclase, quartz, biotite, and plagioclase. The quartz is somewhere white, Orthoclase is a flesh red color. Plagioclase, you have a lat-like structure, and black material is a biotite. So this is how you can classify all the rocks. This is how you can classify all the rocks. Then second one you have granodiorite. Second one you have granodiorite. So granodiorite is a quartz plus amphibole plus plagioclase. Okay, granodiorite is nothing but a quartz, amphibole, and plagioclase. Quartz, amphibole, and plagioclase. This is the three different type of minerals you have. This is the three different type of mineral you have, so that you can have a different type of mineral which is present there in the rock. Then you have a diorite, which is having a plagioclase and amphibole. So the greenish material is the amphibole and the whitish material is the plagioclase. This is how, on the basis of different properties, you can identify the mineral. That there is several 15, 16 physical properties of the rock, or 15 to 16 physical properties of the rock, on which basis you can have identify this rock. So this is a granite, granodiorite, and diorite. So this is a three different type of rock having a different type of chemical or different type of mineralogical composition. So on the basis of mineralogical composition, you always have a variety of rock in a igneous one. Then you have a gabbro, which is a very famous and popular one. Granite and gabbro, that is a two popular rock, and the this one is this one is having a plagioclase plus pyroxene in it. Then you have a peridotite. So what is the peridotite actually? A peridotite is a rock which is made up entirely mostly of the ferromagnesium mineral, or we can say that olivine and this all the garnet and this olivine and this ferromagnesium mineral are the more what we can say more dominant in this one. More domination of this pyroxene plus olivine material in it. Then you have a classification of igneous rock. So classification of igneous rock, first is this one is a genetic classification. Then you have a different kind of criteria for a classification. So most abundant element on earth, you know that oxygen, silicon, aluminum, ferrous, that is iron, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. So this is all are the most abundant element on your earth. So the calculate element as the oxide account for O. How much SiO2 account for Si? What feldspar are present? Account of what else is present. So this is how you can classify the igneous rock on a different way. First you see the genetic classification. First you see have seen the genetic classification. Then what is the silica percentage? What is the silica percentage? That will decide the whether the rock is oversaturated or saturated or undersaturated. So the axis of silica in any rock type and all is known as axis of silica is known as oversaturated. The axis of silica is known as oversaturated. Saturated, just enough silica to combine with the other one. Just enough silica to combine with the other ions. Silica deficient mineral present, so that is known as undersaturated. Whatever the silica deficient mineral present, that is known as the what we can say the undersaturated. So the olivine, nepheline, corundum, etc. are the all are the this is a deficient mineral which is present, can't coexist with the quartz. So quartz are not, it's not coexisted with the quartz. So whatever the content or this one you have on the basis of a silica percentage. The classification based on the silica percentage. So there is a axis of silica which known as oversaturated. medium size or whatever the needed of that rock to be formed, that is the saturated one, and undersaturated is a silica deficient mineral present. So that is how you can classify in a three different way. This is a general classification. This is a general classification of igneous rock: ultra basic, basic, intermediate, and acidic. What is the ultra basic? What is the basic? What is intermediate? And what is the acidic? So this all the classification basically on the basis of your silicon oxide. So this classification is basically on the basis of silicon oxide. So ultra basic is a less than 45%. So ultra basic is less than 45%. Basic is 45 to 52%. Basic is 45 to 42 percentage. When you have an intermediate rock, the your what we can say the silica must be between the 52 to 66 percentage. 52 to 66 percentage. That is your silicon oxide. Then you have uh, acidic rock. When you have acidic rock is having a silica more than 66 percentage. Acidic rock is having a silica more than 66%. So this is how you can classify the igneous rock only on the basis of your silica percentage. The first classification is a genetic classification, which is on the basis of what your uh, where it is formed and how much big large crystal are formed. Now you have a feldspar. Now you have a feldspar. A feldspar is a plagioclase versus potash spar. Feldspar is known as a plagioclase versus potash spar. A relative aluminum content paraluminous left over after the feldspar form. So this is a different kind of feldspar. The feldspar is a potassium feldspar, plagioclase feldspar. So potassium feldspar is a temperature dependent. A different temperature form a different kind of feldspar. So the name of this one is a microcline, orthoclase, and sanidine. So this is a different kind of feldspar, and all this you have in the feldspar classification. So plagioclase, classic example of solid solution, potassium versus sodium content. So perthite is a X solution texture. So this is all are the different kind of feldspar. So then you have a potassium feldspar. Feldspar is a mineral. A feldspar is a mineral which is very abundant everywhere. Which is very abundant everywhere, whether you go into granite, basalt, and all. So then you have a microcline, orthoclase, and sanidine. This is a three different type of rock. This is a three different type of what we can say the mineral, which is having a different kind of properties. What that properties are? The lowest temperature variety, plutonic rock, almost always a pathetic medium temperature, volcanic plutonic rock, sanidine feldspar, that is a part of feldspar, highest temperature, volcanic rock may have appreciable potassium. So this is all are the properties of the potassium feldspar. So this one is also known as a cave feldspar. Earlier one, what we can say, the only feldspar. So feldspar is divided into three different two different parts basically, potassium and plagioclase. This is how you can identify the potassium feldspar. So then you have a plagioclase feldspar is also again divided into a different kind of minerals name, which is known as the albito anorthite series. Albito anorthite series. This is what the name of this series for the plagioclase. So albite is a 0 to 10% of Ca, where sodium goes to metamorphic rock metasomatism. Then you have oligoclase, 10 to 30% of the this one, and known as the granitic rock. Andesine is the 30 to 50%. and it's known as intermediate rock. Labradorite is a 50 to 70% of the Ca, that is known as a mafic rock. Betonite, uh, so betonite is a 70 to 90%. So depending upon the sodium, sorry, depending upon the calcium, you have a different kind of minerals are formed there in a feldspar series. This is how the what the feldspar is all about. The feldspar is you have anorthite. So you have anorthite, betonite, labradorite, albite, and all. So this is all are the a general classification of the feldspar. So so this is what how the Cape feldspar can be studied. Then we see the other what is the other ingredient? A ferromagnesium mineral heavily influenced by the characteristic like water, a basic of a classification of ultramafic rock. This is all are the other gradient or other material which can be present in the igneous rock. Then you have voids, that is the feldspatite. Feel the ecological decay of the feldspar when the insufficient is available. The major mineral are nepheline, nepheline and lucite. This is a two different type of mineral uh, where this is the two different type of mineral. Like plagioclase, a solid solution of the olivine is also there. Olivine is also there, which is we seen that what is the fosterite and phelite. So plagioclase a series, uh, plagioclase series, you have a two different kind of mineral that is present. That is a fosterite to phelite. Okay, like your plagioclase series, your on olivine series is also there. So olivine series is starting from the Mg to Fe. Mg is just replaced with the Fe. Rest of the things are okay. So this is how you can have a plagioclase feldspar series like series. One more series is a fosterite to phelite series. So become a more re-rich as a magma pools. So fosterite is a can be nearly pure or metamorphic rock, cannot be coexisted with the quartz. So then you have phelite. Phelite is a rarely found pure mineral, and it can coexist with the quartz. Then you have ortho plus clinopyroxene. So clinopyroxene are the monoclinic rock. Means there is a no mineral mostly present in this one. So monoclinic your crystal system also there. So orthorhombic and monoclinic. Now for this classification, we will use the IUGS classification. Just a minute. In 1960, largely at the initiative of Albert Stetson, the International Union of Geological Sciences, form a sub-commission on the systematic of igneous rocks to develop a standardized and workable system of igneous rock nomenclature. The IUGS system requires the we determine the mineral components of the rock and plot the percentage of three of those components on appreciate triangular diagram to determine the proper name. The mode. The determine the mode. What is the mode? the percentage of each mineral present based on the volume, that is known as mode. The mode is estimated on the basis of cumulative area of each mineral type as seen on the surface of hand specimen or in the thin section under the microscope. So we prepared a thin section for the microscope, which is having a very typical process to form this one, a thin section and all. So a thin section are there. Then a more accurate determination is performed by the point counting thin section. From the mode, determine the volume percentage of the each of the following. That is quartz for this one, plagioclase for this one. So you have a different kind of mode of the occurrences. Then you have a classification of pheneritic igneous rock. What is the pheneritic and what is apheneritic? The crystal size which is seen by the naked eyes. That is your pheneritic and apheneritic. So pheneritic rock, which is having a divided into different kind of igneous rock. So if you can have the idea about this one, you can have uh, a proper classification. A proper classification. First one is the quartz-rich granite. First one is the quartz-rich granite. Then you have a quartz cyanite, quartz monazite, and quartz. So this is all are the a different kind of classification of the igneous rock in the phenolic system. This is a classification of for the silica saturated rock. This is a classification for silica saturated rock. So, the silica is there, which when the silica is get formed, you may form the quartz there. So you have a quartz in your igneous rock. So when the quartz is more than the 90%, that is known as silex then you have a more than less than 60% and all. You have a tonalite, quartz, gabbro, and all. So this is what about the different kind of silica saturated rock. Then you have a silica deficient rock. Then you have silica deficient rock. So alkali feldspar and plagioclase feldspar is having a silica deficiency. This is your ultramafic rock. The ultramafic rock are those rock where you form the a different plagioclase. So this is what your ultramafic rock. So whatever we seen, this is just a classification of pheneritic rock. This is the classification of pheneritic rock. Now we are going to see the classification of aphenetic rock. Classification of aphenetic rock. So what is the aphenetic rock? The aphenetic rock is those rock which crystal you cannot see by the naked eyes. You need a microscope. You need a microscope for this one. So this is known as the aphenetic rock. So how the your aphenetic igneous rock can be uh, so these are the different type of rocks which is comes into the aphenetic. Aphenetic is nothing but which you cannot see directly by the naked eyes, or what we can say that you can see, but the crystal size and all are very small. So this is what your aphenetic rocks is there. This is what your aphenetic rocks. So you have a trucky basalt, you have basaltic trucky andesite, trucky andesite. This is how you can classify the aphenetic rock. This is how you can classify the aphenetic rock. So you have a trachyte, phonolite, tephrophonolite, tephrolite, and all these all are the aphenetic type of rock. When you have aphenetic, then you have pyroclastic material. Then you have a pyroclastic material. What is the pyroclastic material? What we already seen in the first by pyroclastic material. What is the pyroclastic material? Pyroclastic material are those material which is formed by the, what we can say, the pyro ash. Ash is the main component or grade, and this one for the, so ash is the nothing but the, you can have a, when the volcanism is there, you can have a volcanism get deposited. Volcanism get deposited for the on the surface. So that will also make some bricks and all. Some people are make some bricks and all and having a business for the this pyroclastic material. That's all called as bread and butter for this one. So igneous. So this ash is also having a, in a different forms it get classified. So you have a tough breccia, to flappily, and this one more. So this is how you have a classify the, that is how you can classify the of pyroclastic igneous rock. Then you have mode and norms. This is nothing but the mode and norm. So what is the mode and what is the norm? Mode is what is actually present. Mode is actually what actually you have in this your rock, or what is the your igneous rock, what kind of actually present mechanism, what you can see. So what exactly the material you want, so that material is known as a norm, and what is the exactly material right now you have, that is known as mode. Then the last one, but very important, as so once the cross eating Pearson and Washington, these four scientists uh, take up the work which is have to categorize the rocks, have to categorize the rock. So cross eating Pearson Washington, and the initial of the each name is has been taken for the known as the, this one is popularly known as the CIPW norm. This is a very popularly known as CIPW norm. So cross eating Pearson and Washington, are what we can say the known as the CIPW norm. It is known as the CIPW norm. All cation treated as an oxide here, anion, SF, and chlorine. So, okay, treated as an element. Convert weight percent to the molecular proportion. Allocate your oxide to the mineral phases. Finally, form the mineral from the oxide and classify the rock. So this is how your CIPW norms has been takes place. So you have a classification of the igneous rock. This is a common igneous rock we have. On the basis of this classification schema, we giving the classification, a different kind of classification to the rock. So if the granite and rhyolite, which is equivalent to each other, can be useful for this classification. So the classification, you can see the basic, intermediate, mafic, and ultramafic. Then you have, so the classification of common igneous rock is depending upon their mineralogical composition. So what kind of mineralogy? Pheneritic. Okay, what is the pheneritic and what is the apheneritic? Pheneritic are those exam component for the, what we can say, the classification of this igneous rock. So what we see, the CIPW, cross eating Pearson and Washington, who given the different kind of indexes and calculation sheet also. So when we are calculating this all, you can able to know that how much area is you encroach it, and this one. So the granite and rhyolite. So these two are the uh, what we can say the equivalent, means the chemical composition is sorry, mineralogical composition is same, and chemical and all the composition is same, but just why this one is a different one, because they are what they are going to see the what other minerals are there. So when the granite and rhyolite is having a same composition, but the difference is granite is a intrusive rocks, that's why it having a large crystal. Rhyolite is a smaller rock, that's why it is having a small crystal. Then you have a cyanite and trachyte. You have a cyanite and trachyte. So cyanite and trachyte is known as the cyanite and trachyte is known as the having a same mineralogical composition. These two minerals having a same between these two is a grains, what we can say the grain size. Why? Because of the prolonged process, uh, the timing that get by the intrusive rock is always having a good, and that's why you find a more more what we can say the more kind of large crystal shaped rocks in the this area. Then you have an intermediate granodiorite and andesite. Granodiorite and andesite. So this is how you can have different kind of minerals present, and their equivalent. Their equivalent. So gabbro and basalt is having a same composition. So gabbro and basalt is having a same this mineralogical composition, but the difference is the crystal size. So the only difference between this all is a crystal size, changes. The name of the rock is changes there. So you have a granite which is formed a rhyolite later stage, cyanite is formed the trachyte, monzonite which form the lattices. So this is all are the different kind of minerals we have. Then you have a granodiorite and granodiorite and diorite. So granodiorite, granodiorite is the nothing but what we can see the granodiorite is a intermediate rock and also called as the mean earth composition of the rock. So it's not having a high phenolic value, or it cannot be uh, like you have a very this one. So granodiorite is a composition, or what we can say the rock which having a average general composition, not having a more basic material, not having a more ultramafic material. So that is you are known as diorite. So diorite is a what we can say the equivalent. Andesite is a volcanic equivalent of diorite. Okay. Then you have a gabbro and basalt. So gabbro is also having the same properties or same thing, that gabbro is also get converted into the basalt. Gabbro is also get converted into the basalt when the magma is get erupted. So this one is having a rock and layer which is formed there is known as basalt. This is known as basalt. So this is what the volcanic and plutonic equivalent. This question is asked. Uh, what is the volcanic and plutonic equivalent of each rock? Means which, as we know or as we seen that only the difference is in a only the difference is in a, shape and size of the crystals. Rest of the things, chemical composition and all are the same one. Okay, so you have a granite which is from the rhyolite. So equivalent for the granite is a rhyolite. The volcanic equivalent of the granite is a rhyolite. So then you have granodiorite. Then you have a granodiorite. So granodiorite is having a ductite, the rock which is formed. Then you have a cyanite. Ductite is again there. Then you have a monzolite. There is where monzolite, lattices and all. Okay. So then you have a gabbro. Gabbro is form of basalt when at the subsurface it is called as a gabbro. On the surface it is called as a basalt. Then you have a different kind of coil system and all. This is how you can classify. This is how classes. Now in next lecture also we see the sedimentary metamorphic rock and igneous rock. So you have to identify those rock. Okay, so that is known as the uh, your what volcanic and plutonic equivalents. This is how the volcanic and plutonic and volcanic equivalent of the each rock. This is the end of the slide. Thank you for listening. So now what we see in the this kind of all what yeah, what all the teaching what we are today's what we are learned about the classification and all. So the classification of this one is depending upon the their mineralogical composition as well as the height in which they are formed. Okay, so the application of the igneous petrology or this one you often find a very mining material or mineral which is useful for the mines is a volcanic uh, volcanic rocks. So this is how what all about the equivalent of the one and two. Likewise, you have a sedimentary rock and this one classification also. So the application of igneous rock, having a igneous rock, is nothing but you have a what we can say the two things are there. One is your equivalent volcanic equivalent. One is extrusive equivalent. So the application of studying this igneous petrology, you can have a better knowledge about how you can going to classify and some software proficiency and all. So this is what we, this is what we are seen in nowadays that the mining minerals and this one can be found at the igneous terrain where you have alumina and all this one. So that's and also the igneous rock is also used for the building stone and all. So that's all from this lecture. Hope you understand the concept of this classification of igneous rock very briefly. I try to explain from my side about how you can classify the igneous rock and what is the different kind of classification you can do with your field visit. So this classification mostly applied in a field, not in a bookish language. And also we have the now online classes and also, but the field classification is most important. Field classification is most important. When you going to the field, you should identify those rocks. So when you are going to identify those rocks, when you have a proper theoretical knowledge about the subject. So that's why theory is also important. Like your what we can say the uh, practicals are. So that's how you can classify and how you can use the a different kind of um, different kind of uh, rocks and this igneous rock basically. So thank you for listening this lecture. I hope you understand the concept of classification. Now I'm going to uh, stop close the this meeting. You have all the question in your what we can say the in your LMS. So whatever the question you are given in the LMS, you should go there and try to solve it out this 10 questions so that we can understand that how much we are going to see this topic again or what kind of improvement is needed from both the sides. So this is how you can have a different kind of classes and all. Thank you very much.